BLDR, it's about people who do stuff and make stuff, and this guy is one of the great builders. Editor of Hot Bike Magazine and a bunch of old magazines from the Bonnier Group back in the day, now doing all sorts of stuff. Kind of gone his own way, and now that everything's social media, he's the V-Twin visionary.
He's absolutely the most tuned-in person into the moto industry that I've ever talked with, and I know.
And he's basically cut his teeth being the man that turned motorcycle journalism into an art form, kind of.
He was respectable thing.
Go back a long time with this gentleman.
Since the beginning of our company,
really,
sure.
Since the very beginning of the company. This is Jeff Holt.
It is crazy to think about, though, because that was the first. The Bonnier Group was the first big, our very first Kickstarter in 2015. It was, oh, they're going to help us out. Great, And how did you guys how?
I just freaking reached out to Jeff, and the dude threw me a bone.
Dude, that's awesome. Thanks, Jeff.
I mean, I always have, definitely a soft spot in my heart for startup companies. And, of course, American startup companies.
What was the culture like back then? I mean, to get everybody kind of in one room is just, I can imagine that being, that could be a really special thing. I don't know if people were butting heads. What was it like over there?
It was really the Source Interlink days was really cool because so much was going on. Magazines were killing it. All the magazines, 125 pages, before the recession of 2008, and it was, social media wasn't that big then. You had MySpace and Facebook was barely starting, and we had archaic websites. So we'd have Hot Bike had 5 editors,
right?
And Baggers had 3 editors, because you had to have so much time. But then, so it was really cool. Of course, when you're a magazine editor, I'm not going to lie, you definitely, you're ego driven because your picture's in the magazine, people recognize you, blah, 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 blah. So a lot of that clashes when you get all these guys into a room. But usually, good things happen more than bad back then. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of fun, getting to see the world and going places. And I was one of the guys that some of these editors didn't even have their own bikes. They just had loaner bikes. And I was buying a new bike every 90 days and building it and doing projects with it. So, I advanced pretty quickly within the ranks because I knew how to work on the bikes way better than I knew how to write on the written page.
Then I bet when magazines kind of started to when it's good, everything's good, everyone's happy and everything. But then when magazines start to kind of go away, that's when things start to kind of come to light, right? And
you kind of as social media got big and as just I would say 2003, 2004, we could start feeling it. Editors were getting pulled off. Bonnier put a lot of hope into I think a little too much hope into the motorcycle thing. This was the same group of investors and that did Field and Stream magazine. They had yacht magazines. They had magazines for people that owned islands.
I was a subscriber to that.
Food magazines, all this super crazy high end stuff. And, all that stuff was on, based out of 2 Park Avenue in Manhattan. And then we were this satellite office out in Irvine, California. And those dudes would come and they'd be wearing suits and all this shit. And then looking at us, wearing Dickies and, shaved heads and tattoos. And they couldn't wrap their minds around it. But that was fine when we were selling magazines.
Yeah.
Right.
But then, then it got reduced to 1 or 2 editors on a magazine, which is fine if you only had to do magazines. But then you had to be in charge of social media. You had to be in charge of the website plan. It got to be a 3-ring circus. And I'm not going to lie to you. I was making really good money there and the bottom was falling out. I was told at one point that I was making 1/3 of the revenue of Hot Bike Magazine a year. And I knew it wasn't sustainable after that. And so I knew the day was coming when they were going to pull the plug on the printed magazine. And, you know, I was out before that. And, you know, me being the kind of prickish person I can be, you know, I just kind of shook my fist at them. I said, you motherfuckers aren't going to last a year without me. And they lasted 8 months.
Sure enough.
It's 2/3, dude. That's 2/3. I got to ask, I mean, you being the V-Twin visionary, dude, give us some insight about where you see Harley-Davidson, what you think of the moves they're making, and how you see them coming, you know, in the next 5-10 years, what's going on with the company?
Would you buy Harley stock or would you sell it?
Yeah, I would buy it right now. I think, you know, I'm privy to some information that a lot of people aren't. I won't talk about that.
Right.
But, you know, Indian and Harley have been kind of duking it out pre-COVID pretty heavily. You know, both those companies are like, we're going to have 10 new bikes in 10 years, and we're going to have 12 new bikes in 10 years. I mean, all that shit is off the table. You know, production has ceased a couple times for Harley and I think one time for Indian. You know, bikes are hard to find right now. The dealerships are finally getting bikes. I mean, it took a big hit. Harley's gotten rid of a lot of employees, hundreds. They've pared down their models for next year greatly. I think that, you know, they're in survival mode like any other business right now. And I mean, they've weathered the test of time. They're not for sale. They're not going to go, you know, they're not going to be filing Chapter 13. I think that with their new CEO, I think they're going to have a good grip on the future. It's shaky ground right now, of course, but everything is, you know.
I mean, Sturgis, the rally has been canceled, right?
Nope. It's all good and still going. You know, they're putting all the social distancing into place and all the other stuff. Buffalo Chip's up and running. We're going to have our performance bike show there.
They're doing it all.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
with
it's
an
still
asterisk, but.
Right. I mean, I remember the last I was thinking about it, I remember people asking, like, is it going to happen? Everything from baseball games to freaking the NBA had been canceled. So I guess Sturgis is the bubble, so to speak. But
Well, it's going to happen regardless. And however it happens, like people are going to show up.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really cancel Sturgis.
No.
People have made their plans a year in advance. They're coming.
Yeah, and I mean, we probably have 23 people joining us this time. So, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will fall off at the pace we're going to be doing. And, you know, I always have guys with mechanicals. We're actually going to have our Ford Transit van and trailer pacing us on it this time to make sure everybody's all right. It'll be a lot of fun, you know, show up there. And I'm debuting a Dixon flannel. I got my own Dixon flannel this year.
Oh, congrats.
Sturgis is going to be a whole lot of work and a whole lot of fun for me this year.